We're here with Willie Brown today. It's an honor to have you again at FOM.
And be here.
My question, the first question would be, what encouraged you to participate and share your knowledge with all these people?
I believe in the goal of FOM, basically being a thought leader, bringing that different awareness to the community, something that's really different, and that's the reason I participated in the last three, because it is different than any other conference that I've attended, because the goal is really focused on elevating the consciousness, the thought process for doing obsolescence management, and looking for new and innovative ways of doing that, and not just repeating what we've done years and years. So I believe in the mission.
Yeah, well, obviously obsolescence, it's a breathing thing, and it's very dynamic and keep changing. What could you tell me about what you've seen yesterday at the workshop?
It's pretty interesting. One of the things that I remember saying is kind of like the reverse side of the same coin. One of the issues people were talking about as being a challenge was, how do I avoid doing more lot buys? The flip side of that was, how do I get rid of this excess inventory that I have that probably came from doing a lot buy? So a lot of times we saw one problem and we create another one. But the thing that I saw as kind of the common thing is that on all levels, we need to elevate basically our game. We need to improve the process that we're using. Like Rod was just saying in his briefing, we need to ask new questions. We need to seek new and better ways of doing things, because our customers, government, other commercial entities, are looking for a high level of service and support. So we can't keep doing the same thing and keep happy customers.
Yeah. So as a follow-up, you were speaking about Elevate.
Yeah.
How would data intelligence and data analytics will fit in?
It fits in from the perspective of not just taking the data that you usually have and, as Rod was saying, using the same assumptions. Some of the things is we have to ask, like he was saying, why do we do what we're doing? Is there a better way of doing it? Because a lot of times, if we have a solution, it worked the last time, it'll probably work this time, which may be good for this year, but next year new requirements are flowing down. And if we're not thinking of being better at how we're addressing issues and looking for new and innovative ways of making solutions to problems, we're going to be caught being reactive instead of being proactive. And we won't be serving the customers as best we could.
So what would be the current hot topics in the area of obsolescence?
Probably the biggest one is the one that was mentioned by Robin Brown, who is the DoD DMS lead. And that's trying to be more strategic and addressing obsolescence management. For years, we've talked about moving from being reactive to proactive. But even in being proactive, there's still a lot of reactive activities we have in that. And so the goal that she has is to be strategic on the very front end of the product's life cycle, and really spend more time and effort planning your parts selection and also planning the whole life cycle for the product. And I think that's something that's really going to change the way we approach obsolescence management. Now, it's going to take a little while to get into the cycle, because if you've already got a system that's been in service for 20, 30 years, there's not much you can do on the acquisition side of it. But, and there was something that she said that I didn't realize, is the fact that if it's a redesign, that's considered as an acquisition. So a lot of those part selection capabilities and disciplines can then be brought into the process. So take the B-52 as an example. It's been in service for almost 100 years, been in service for more than 100 years. The basic structure of the aircraft is the same, but the internal electronics is totally different from the original. So as we have opportunities to do these redesigns, we will have opportunities to bring in this more strategic approach to managing obsolescence in the future.
So you would recommend redesign as a ongoing process without the need of obsolescence constantly?
It's on a case-by-case basis. There are going to be times when you have to do a redesign. Most redesigns are not driven by obsolescence. They're driven by performance requirements. But when you have that opportunity, that is the opportunity to actually apply those new approaches to managing obsolescence with the part selection and better planning.
Let's talk for a second about the risks. So, what do you consider is the main risk when working with the open market?
Of course, the biggest risk is counterfeit parts. The biggest risk is having unforeseen failure in their procurement process. The example that Henry Livingston was talking about, they were buying from an authorized distributor, authorized, I think it might have been even an OCM, but there was a process that they had that allowed a counterfeit part to come back in. So, it's things like that that's kind of the biggest risk. You have to do your due diligence and you have to ask questions and really have a thorough understanding of their process all the way down their supply chain. So really, going beyond the first or second tier of suppliers and trying to get as deep down the supply chain as you can, because that's where you're going to have the risks that are going to just bubble up to the top.
So, considering the shortages, the huge wave of M&A, the MLCC shortage, how do you see the future of obsolescence?
It's going to be more complicated. It's going to require us to have a much closer working relationship with our suppliers. It's having this more integrated approach where all the different disciplines really have to come together as part of the plan of how we're going to maintain the system for whatever the number of years are, with those realities of the market, that you're going to have fewer and fewer suppliers. So how do you address that? And it's going to take input from all the different disciplines and having a real plan and doing some forward thinking of worst case scenarios of how do I prepare myself in case, situation A happens or situation B, and just really planning those things out.
Last section is about the community, and I would like to ask you about the importance of the foam community or other communities that come together to share ideas and best practices.
It's critical. It's vital. We see it within our own companies, where we have different, within BAE, we have 3 different sectors, as we call them, 3 different main business groups within the United States. But within each one, you have a group that's supporting Program A, Program B, Program C, and a lot of times those programs don't communicate. So a lot of times we're out there chasing and expending effort to come up with a solution when somebody else has already done that. They already have a possible solution. So it's to our benefit to leverage the community, let them know what your needs are, what issues you're trying to address, and usually you may not find the exact answer that you're looking for, but you may get a contact that can lead you to that solution, and you may find out a solution that someone else in your organization has, and you can take that back to them. So it's just the benefit of tapping into the tribal knowledge, as they say, because we have a lot of people who've been in this business for a long time, and a lot of people that have contacts that we may not have. that can provide us with solutions that we would have never found on our own.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how, for example, aerospace and defense companies suddenly can learn from medical industry or different industries and different verticals. So
yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you look at a lot of the people who are really creative, and they have learned to look into disciplines that are totally outside of what they're working on for different solutions and different approaches that can then be applied to the industry that they're working in. So yeah, a lot of knowledge out there. You
just need to share it.
Exactly, and you need to look for it.
Willie, thank you very much. We are so proud to have you as a big part of our FOAM community, active part, and looking forward to see you at the next FOAM event.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.